you have hyperpigmentation. So you started using skincare, but you felt there were just no results. Or you did see a little fading, but then again, things came back in full force the moment you went out into the sun. So you turned online and looked for alternatives, only to find that lasers and things like that will only make it worse and are not recommended for you, especially if you have a deeper skin tone. And now you stand there with the question, when is the right time to switch from topicals to invasive procedures when dealing with hyperpigmentation? I feel you. I've been dealing with hyperpigmentation, different types, for more than a decade now. And I know how frustrating slow topical skincare can be. But are invasive procedures really the way to go here? And if they are, which one are best for you? Let's talk. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Dr. Anne. I'm a medical doctor here to teach you how to best take care of your skin and general well-being. The first thing we have to talk about is the different types of hyperpigmentation. Yes, they all look pretty similar on the skin, like brown patches of different depth and different location, but they do have different origins. And to know which one you're dealing with is really important to figure out the best way to treat it. The most common ones are post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, melasma, sunspots, or flatteringly called age spots, or freckles, ephelides. Then there are birthmarks, café au lait spots, drug-induced hyperpigmentation, which can look a little bluish gray as opposed to the regular brown. Opposed to them that are all benign, you could be dealing with something that's not just a cosmetic problem, but needs proper treatment because it can be a malignoma and thus life-threatening. Which is why getting the proper diagnosis is really, really important. They all have distinct differences, but you really sometimes need a trained eye or even a wood lamp to really make sure what you are dealing with. Because what they are determines the most important step in treating them. Addressing the underlying cause, which might be UV exposure, which might be genetics, in which case you can't really do that much, which might be medication you're taking or your hormones acting up because of birth control or being pregnant. I have different videos on the different forms of hyperpigmentation already that I will link, so I will not go into detail here. There's also a bridge like oral medication, oral tranexamic acid, which has shown great results for hyperpigmentation, especially the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, but also has some downsides. So again, requires prescription and should be taken under doctor's guidance. Just like there are a ton of different topical skincare products, there are also a lot of different invasive procedures. I group everything that is supposed to be under a doctor's guidance or in office under invasive treatments. Let's go through the categories quickly. I will state risks, common risks when I mention them, but again, talk to your professional. The first one is microneedling, ideally with special topicals that are microneedled into the skin. Microneedling means you puncture your skin with needles of a defined length, and this creates a wound that promotes healing, great for promoting collagen production, but not ideal for treating hyperpigmentation. But when you pair it with things like tranexamic acid or other things that usually have a hard time penetrating the skin, you create microchannels so they can go deeper into the skin to where they're supposed to work, which means you increase their effectiveness. The downside here is that microneedling done wrong could lead to inflammation due to the trauma, which could lead to a reactive increase in hyperpigmentation. The second would be high-strength chemical peels. I am not talking about the 15% AHA you can buy as skincare. These are high-strength peels that need to be activated and then deactivated. You can't just slap them on and leave them be. There are different acids available for that, but all work by getting rid of the upper part of the skin's layer, which is where the melanin is deposited in the skin. They go deeper than your regular at-home peel, so they shed more of the skin, so you have brighter, younger skin appearing underneath. In high strength, they can also have a suppressing effect on the activity of the melanocytes, so reduce the formation of new hyperpigmentation. Again, if not done properly, they can lead to inflammation as a reaction, and that could lead to increased hyperpigmentation. The third thing, and the one you always hear about, is lasers. Laser is an umbrella term for different devices with different wavelengths, different strengths, different pulses. They all have different advantages and disadvantages when it comes to hyperpigmentation and your skin type. There are some that are safe to use for deeper skins, others that are not recommended for deeper skins, and they work on different types of hyperpigmentation. So again, you need a diagnosis. They target the melanin and just destroy it. They do not, we'll come to that later, destroy the melanocytes. They destroy the melanin, so your skin looks brighter quicker than it does with topicals. Again, need an experienced practitioner, because also can make things worse, because some of them work with heat, and heat can trigger melasma. The last one I want to mention is IPL, or intense pulsed light. It is the same you have heard of for hair removal, and the mechanism is similar. It targets melanin, just not in the hair follicle, but on the skin. Due to the fact that it targets melanin in the superficial layers, it is usually not recommended for deeper skin tones, but again, talk to an experienced professional to see if it is the right fit for you. What should you start with? Should you go directly for the invasive treatments because they're just more effective? All guidelines agree. It is always topical skincare first, exception drug-induced pigmentation, but I'm pretty sure this is not what you're dealing with when you're watching this video. And procedures only if you are not seeing meaningful results. Meaningful is the key word here. Hyperpigmentation is not a problem, a health problem. It is a cosmetic problem that can affect your mental health and your general well-being. So it needs to be treated if it bothers you. But if for some people a slight reduction might be enough, so they say, well, I'm fine now, that's perfectly, I feel great. For others, even a more drastic reduction might not lead to them feeling better in their skin. So meaningful means results that work for you and that you are happy with. So when I say topicals haven't worked, I don't mean you still see hyperpigmentation. I mean, you still see hyperpigmentation that you are bothered by. The reasons why invasive procedures come second is that all of them have an inherent risk of making things worse, especially if you're dealing with melasma and post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. They don't have to make things worse, but the risk is there. So in a benefit to risk ratio, topicals are the safer way to go, which is why you try them first. And even if you're a good candidate based on your skin type and skin condition and skin problems to go for invasive procedures, that doesn't mean you can stop using topicals. Usually when you go in for treatment, you are set up with a pre-treatment routine with brightening ingredients to tone everything down. Then you have the procedure, and then you have a post-procedure regimen that helps keep the results. Because invasive procedures are not permanent. They are quicker. Topicals fade slowly over time. Invasive procedures work more targeted, more direct, quicker. But they don't stop hyperpigmentation from coming back again. Hyperpigmentation is a chronic condition that you will be dealing with all your life. So when topicals are the first line of recommendation, why aren't you seeing results? Well, because you most likely skipped an important step, are using the wrong products for your individual type of hyperpigmentation, or are too impatient, on which I feel you. The most important step most people skip is getting a proper diagnosis. You can't treat a café au lait spot with the same things you would treat melasma with. The second most important thing is people skip their sunscreen. If you're not using sunscreen, and I know you're sick and tired of hearing me talk about that, but if you're not using your sunscreen, you will never see improvement in your hyperpigmentation, because UV exposure is the main trigger for almost all types of hyperpigmentation. SPF 50+, used daily, broad spectrum, applied liberally, this is the way to go and the most important thing in fading hyperpigmentation. Nothing fancy, not even a laser will give you long-term results if you don't use your sunscreen. The second thing is you are using the wrong product. Dr. Lee did a great video on ranking the different ingredients for hyperpigmentation, and there are tier A ingredients that work great And then our tier E ingredients that you should avoid at all costs. So if you're using like 3 different C ingredients, but none of the A ingredients, it will take forever for you to see any results. You need the right products. And that doesn't mean you need a ton of different products. There are great products that combine effective ingredients for your type of hyperpigmentation in one step. So you don't have to use 5 different serums. But you need to identify which these important things are for you and then use them consistently, otherwise you won't see results. And speaking of consistently and patience, which is not my strong suit, you can expect to see first subtle results after the 3 months mark, results after around 6 months. So before that, if you use one thing for 3 weeks and then stop it, and then you go on a beach vacation, and then you try something else and say, hey, nothing works, can't. You need 3 to 6 months to see the first results. And that includes lifestyle changes that can lead to fluctuation. My hyperpigmentation always comes back in the summer. Why? Because I love being outdoors. And no matter how much hats and shade seeking and sunscreen I use, it will trigger my hyperpigmentation to a certain extent. Not to an extent that it bothers me, but to an extent that I focus the whole fall on skincare that brings it down quite effectively. This is normal. And you need to give it that time, proper time with sunscreen, to really be able to say, I am not getting results from my topicals. There's only one type of hyperpigmentation that might go away on its own, and this is melasma. Many people experience it while they are pregnant, and after this hormone storm goes by and you had your baby, the melasma fades on its own. But everything else is a lifelong process. There was something happening in your skin, genetics, inflammation, sun exposure, that triggered the melanocytes to clump at certain parts in your skin. And there they are. And whenever they are triggered again through heat, inflammation, or UV exposure, they will produce more melanin in this spot than they do everywhere else, which is why you will keep getting the same hyperpigmentation at the same space over and over and over again for the rest of your life. So why don't we just destroy these melanocytes? I mean, I have read it online. Use laser and it will destroy the melanocytes. That's not what we want. And that's not what happens. I mean, there are lasers that could destroy melanocytes, but we don't really want that. Because if you destroy the melanocytes, you can't just destroy selectively the hyperactive ones. You will destroy the melanocytes, and then there will be no more pigment in the skin. And that will look patchy. Just not dark patchy, but light patchy. And unless you're a leopard, patchy skin is never what we go for. So we don't destroy melanocytes, otherwise we would have the same problem just in light, not in dark. Maybe you have heard that hydroquinone can destroy melanocytes, and that is partly true. Hydroquinone, used for a long time and in high concentrations, can lead to toxicity in the melanocytes, which means they die. This is one of the reasons why sometimes when you treat a dark spot with hydroquinone, you can get like the hydroquinone halo, which is where the area right around the dark spot gets lighter than the rest of your face because melanocytes are dying there. But this is not a desired effect. This is not what we aim for when we use hydroquinone to treat hyperpigmentation. And it is the reason why hydroquinone in certain strengths is prescription only in many countries, and you do hydroquinone holidays, so you don't use it for a long time. Practical guidelines. If you're using topicals and you feel your hyperpigmentation is not getting better, these are the steps I want you to take. Make sure which type of hyperpigmentation you're dealing with exactly, ideally with a professional diagnosis. Treat the underlying cause if that is possible. Not possible in terms of genetics, but for acne or other hyperinflammatory diseases, treat the inflammation first. Check with your treating doctor if you are using the most effective ingredients at the right concentration for your individual type of hyperpigmentation. Make sure you're diligent with your sun protection. If you are not, you will never see results. Give it time. 3 to 6 months is the time frame you can accept it to take before you see results. If that still doesn't work, talk to an experienced provider, someone that is experienced in dealing with hyperpigmentation, invasive treatments on your skin type, and talk to them about the other options you have, like oral medication or invasive procedures, and then follow their recommendations, including pre and post treatment. And lastly, keep using your topicals, even if you had a procedure that gave you the results that you wanted to. Otherwise, it will just come back. Invasive procedures are not a miracle treatment when it comes to treating hyperpigmentation. They are an escalation that can make sense for you in your individual situation and with your individual skin concern. They don't mean you failed at skincare or taking a shortcut. They're simply another option in the way you decide to pursue your goals. If you have any questions I haven't answered yet, please drop them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, you will most likely enjoy the ones linked on the screen here. Don't forget to check out the description box for everything else I have to offer, and like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video.